necessary.
We're about ready?
Weight is kind of settling in.
All right, looks like we are ready. Are you up? All right, welcome everyone to the City Council meeting for Monday, July the 11th, 2022. If we could have a roll call, Madam Clerk, to establish quorum.
Nick Roberts.
Here?
Terry McClung.
I'm here.
Melissa Green.
Here.
Harry Meyer.
Yeah.
Bill Ott.
Here.
Autumn Slane.
Here.
We have 6.
All right, if we can have stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Anything anybody needs on this? Hearing none, all those in favor of the agenda as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Get a motion to approve the minutes for June 27th.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes, June 22nd.
Second.
All right, Mr. Meyer made the motion, Mr. Ott second, approve the minutes. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have a application for hospital from Kate Dreyer that we need to vote on. Ms. Green?
I'll make a motion that we accept the application of Kate Dreyer and put her on position 5 for the Hospital Commission.
Second.
All right, got a motion by Ms. Green, second by Mr. Ott. Any comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We do have a couple of positions open in parks, so I think we've got 1 or 2 applications. I know we've got 1, but anybody out there is interested in serving on the parks, please let us know. Come in and get an application and see what we can get going. That brings us up to public comments, and I don't think I see anybody out there who's wanting to make any public comments, so we will continue on down.
I wanted to make one more comment, sorry, on the previous. On the CPC, we have 2 vacancies now that have come up as of June 30th, so they're recent vacancies.
On what commission?
CAPC. Right.
Really?
James DeVito was June 30th, 2022, and Carol Wright was the
Are they vacancies yet?
Yeah, as of June 30th, 2022.
If they're still serving, there's until you all
they're
make a
vacant, we're looking
nomination.
for a replacement for that
Yeah.
position.
Once you all make a nomination, it'll come before the council then, and we'll get that on the agenda.
And it's not going to go on here as being vacant until it is.
Okay.
Okay, if you don't mind. Okay.
But he's right, it does need to be let out that they are available for.
Right, and I think they've been noting that. That's true. We got positions available on the CAPC there. All right, that brings us up to our new business. Get a motion to discuss about band show.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right. Our Parks Director, Mr. Miskell's here, I think, and you, in your packet, you have a little bit of paperwork there that the Director has given us regarding the Basin Park and condition reports and other things. So would you like to lead off and
Yes, thank
bring
you.
us up to date on the band shell
Thank you.
and the other miscellaneous projects?
Yes, and for the record, Scott Miskell, the Executive Director for Parks and Recreation, 532 Spring Street. Thank you for your time to address these issues. Basin Park is one of the more, well, let's say frustrating situations at the moment because we have so much to do, so much to accomplish. And it's one of those things that if we do one thing, we have to pretty much do everything. And so that's the dilemma that we have. This all started out with us, we had a grant to replace the stonework underneath the fountain in the park. And when we tried to get an engineer to engineer the foundation that we would need, we ran into some serious issues. And I've given you most of what we've accumulated over the last year that's relevant to this. One of them was McClelland Engineering back in 2011, I believe it was, had indicated that this problem with the foundation, it's not really a foundation issue. There's an underwater, or there's a underground channel for the water to drain out, a culvert of sorts. But it was built with stone, basically, that was just placed there, and then the concrete was poured over the top of it. Well, from 100 years plus of water flowing through there, it has collapsed, and they had identified back in 2011, they said in 10 to 20 years we would see failure, and we're seeing that. And so that's the tail that wags the dog, and that would have been a fairly easy remedy that would have been a few tens of thousands of dollars to fix. But if we're going to dig up all of that concrete to fix what's going on underneath, then we might as well go ahead and redo all of the concrete on that plaza, which kind of needs to be done anyway. It's all heaving, it's different angles, different textures, different colors, and so it's time to do that. Well, if we're going to do that, we have to decide, are we going to move things like the Centennial time capsule? Are we going to relocate the Doughboy? Not that we don't want Doughboy in the park, for instance. It's just maybe it makes sense to move it to where it's not impeding our view of the presentation in the band shell. So we have all of these issues that requires really a comprehensive plan, and so that's where we're at. So we've reached out. We did a request for proposals many months ago. McClelland Engineering is the one that was selected. We have a contract that I've been carrying around, unsigned contract I've been carrying around for about 3 months now. We need approval of the commission, and there's been discussions on and off about it. I did schedule for tomorrow evening. We're down to 4 commissioners, so it's tough to get a quorum, but tomorrow evening we have a special meeting to get that contract approved, and I would expect that it'll be approved. So we're at the point where we'll begin the design phase of that. We've also already, the commission has already approved a planning committee, and so that's in the works to populate that committee with, we're looking for a diverse group of people with varying interests and opinions on what would, how that park would end up. Obviously, it's historic. It's going to look very similar to what it does now, only newer and better, but there might be some changes that are approved. So we need a diverse group, and that's in the process right now of being formed. So the committee that'll bring a design ultimately, or probably several designs, to our commission, and we're looking at this as all of the stakeholders need to be involved. So we're looking at possibly a committee member from CAPC. Kylie Heverty's, we expect, would be on there. One or more of the local business owners we would expect. So we're looking for that diverse group that can give us a lot of feedback, I should say, on the design phase. So I totally expect that contract will be approved tomorrow. That's for the design work. And yet, one of the big discussions that has come up is how do we pay for the hundreds of thousands of dollars of the repairs. So we don't know that yet. We don't know how we would get to that point of being able to pay for such a huge project. We do have a quite substantial amount of, I hate to use the term reserves because they were never voted on as being reserves per se, but let's say money that we've been, that we haven't spent over the last several years, we've been holding aside for what we knew would be these various projects that are coming up. But we have several. The dam, we're looking at $1.2 to $2.5 million for the dam repairs.
Leatherwood.
Yes, Leatherwood. I'm just talking about the projects that we have that could tap into those funds that we have. We did some small road repairs last year. We've got some warranty work that should be done this week on that, and then we're looking at doing some more repairs. We can't repair that whole road all at once because of funding. Anyway, I'm sure you know all of the projects that we have. I don't need to take time describing them now, other than to say that funding is going to be a real issue. We're going to have to look hard at grant opportunities, and I think that's where we are right now, is go ahead and get the planning started, because it's going to have to be done. It's going to take a good 6 months or longer to get design work done, possibly a year. At that point, we can start getting bids and know what it's actually going to cost us. But I am expecting for everything that we have to do there, not even knowing what the design will be, we're looking, I'm sure, at least at around $500,000 to do that and do it right. It's just one of those things that there's so many layers to that onion that when you start peeling it, you come to another layer that's costing more and more. So that's where we're at. Yes, sir.
I have kind of a solution I've been thinking about for that. Because of it being a venue being used by things that are pushed by the CABC, we should be able to help you fund the band shell and the park area because of that. I've talked with them a little bit about it, and it seems like it would be a fit to the funding and the code. So
Yes.
I would ask you, definitely ask, because hopefully maybe we could split half the cost of that with you.
You know,
I think the CABC has the funds to do it.
Yeah,
so.
that would be great. It has been discussed because it's a venue, just like this is a venue that CAPC uses, and so they do, contribute to maintenance, and I'm not privy to exactly what all they spend, but I do think that that would be appropriate if that commission
Just make sure you
chooses.
bring it to us at the commission so we can consider it. I think we would probably be for that for you. So.
We've had some discussions. I was in a meeting probably 2 weeks ago with Madison, and Jeff was there, and a few others. And so we've had these discussions. I think we're at the point where before we know how much anybody would contribute to such a project, we have to know what the project's going to be, what the scope of it's going to be. So that's why we decided go ahead and get the design work done. I restate that we haven't decided yet. The vote on that hopefully is tomorrow if we have a quorum, as we should. We've had 4 commissioners that have committed to be there. So once we get the design done, even a preliminary design, we can start getting some preliminary budget numbers, and then we can talk about that very thing.
Yeah, that should help you. Take it east of that.
That would help a
Should be able
lot.
to help.
Because if we had that phase of it done, then that would free up some of the other funds that we have to do these other
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
Unfortunately, it's not that all of these things have to be done at once, but they really should be. For instance, we don't want to do that plaza and redo that and then decide, well, now we're going to do the band shell, and then you have equipment coming in, driving over your fresh concrete and other such things. So we need a comprehensive plan, and looks like if the vote goes the way I expect tomorrow, we'll at least begin on that path. And that's also why I wanted it'd probably be Madison as a member of our planning committee. We look at this planning committee as not really a parks planning committee. There's a lot of stakeholders that, and the entire city looks at Basin Park as its treasure. It's not just something that Parks and Recreation is involved in. So we will absolutely keep CAPC and the rest of you apprised of what's going on. I would like to say, though, that we are looking for, like I said, a diverse group on this committee that can get us some valuable feedback, differing opinions, different ideas. But that being said, we're open to, we're at the point right now where we need some names and ideas of who might be appropriate for that committee. Yes, sir.
It sounds, in your opinion, estimation, that Basin Park, on a scale of 1 to 10, is probably our number our most needed project.
Absolutely, yes.
Leatherwood being number 2.
Yes, it's hard to quantify some things. For instance, we have a wall at Crescent Spring right now, which in some respects I view as our most important project because it's out of plumb and it needs immediate attention. But we've got the engineering done on that one, and I just was here a few nights ago and got HDC approved the work, and it's out to bid right now. So.
But for Leatherwood to be what it needs to be as far as an attraction for the city as the jewel that it is, the trails back open across the dam and
Yes.
all that.
Yes.
I mean, personally, I think that is a primary project, secondary only to Basin Park.
Yes, and in reality, we can weigh them all differently, and sometimes if you look at it from one perspective, you may think, well, that's our number one project, and you look at another one, and depending on what you're looking at, or is it safety, is it that it's a historical structure, there's different things depending on how we weight those factors. But one of the issues is that Kylie is kind enough to be working on trying to get us some grants for the dam and for the bathhouse. I actually kind of thought, well, maybe we should make the priority the Basin Park, and yet she felt that we had a good, just because of the historical nature of those particular structures and various other reasons, she feels that we have a good chance of getting grants for those. So her efforts are, as far as ways she's helping parks out.
Sure.
I know she has a lot she does, but she feels
Right. And I
somewhat-
understand that,
yeah.
and that makes
right.
that makes good sense in itself. But
Right.
at the same time, the projects that, like you say, the study was done in 2011 and nothing was done,
Yes.
and so each day we put that off now, it does nothing but get worse.
Right.
And so, you have to at some point say, okay, this is, not stop work on these others,
Yes.
but we have to pick and choose. I mean, we're going
Yes.
to have to,
Yes.
at some point, say, this is what needs to be done
Yes.
First.
now.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, would you finish?
Go ahead, Mr. Ron.
Couple of questions. One is, in looking at this and hearing what you said, is there anything in Basin Spring Park now or in the very near future that could become a potential hazard to our citizens or our visitors in Basin Spring Park?
Yes. The fact that we have this collapse that's taking place, although it's been slow, again, it was identified in 2011, and it was stated that sometime between 10 and 20 years it would become an issue. Well, we're past the 10-year mark, and we're seeing the subsidence even more. I was in the park with the mayor about a little over a week ago. It was a Friday, over a week ago. And I just glanced over at the fountain, and I can kind of judge how the sinking has taken place because we have to re-level the fountain, and the gap that's left is getting bigger and bigger. And in about 1 month, I could notice about a half an inch worth of difference there. So it is collapsing. Now that, collapsing I shouldn't say, subsiding.
But,
So,
because the reason I asked that question is you're talking about waiting till we can do everything at once. Do we not need to address those specific things that might be a potential hazard to our residents and our visitors in the park?
absolutely. And we've actually been doing some of that. We did some of the engineering that we needed to do. We had our core samples done, the geotech survey that tells us what the soil is like underneath. Unfortunately, it came out, it was a good report. In other words, the soil is all fine and can bear what we have. The problem was just the way that those, 100 years or more ago, the way they built these these culverts is not like what we do today. And so the point is we have been doing that work. As soon as we get this engineering contract signed, I'm going to ask them to take a look at that specifically, because that is the issue that is most important as far as a safety type of an issue. And we'll see, is that something that we need an interim sort of a measure to do, or does it seem to be something that's going to just continue subsiding slowly and nothing catastrophic taking place? So that will be the first step.
That's good, because, you know, we don't need to put things off if we're
Yes.
looking at a hazard coming up in the very near future. The other question is, have you considered, I know would take a public referendum for this, but an additional half-cent or whatever of tourism enhancement tax that would have a sundown clause on it to pay for not only Basin Spring Park, but then also, you know, Lake Leatherwood, since they're both tourism-related entities. Have you looked at that possibility? I know we keep growing as a tourism destination, and our revenue is up. I know that when I was in Hot Springs, we did that with the auditorium.
Yes.
We put it on there and had a sundown clause for once it's paid for, the tax comes back off. And we paid for it before it was meant to end. And so the tax was taken off.
Yes.
Have you thought about that possibility?
You know, that has been discussed. The mayor brought it up, and Lonnie, I think, brought it up once or twice, I think, as I recall, in a department head meeting. So it has been discussed. We're hoping to not have to go there, but we have to start with this design work. We don't even know how much to ask for until we have the design done. So that is the first step. And secondly, if we're able to get the grants that we hope we could get for Leatherwood, then money that we've sort of, not officially, but just mentally, we kind of have earmarked for the bathhouse or the dam, then those funds could be directed here. You combine that with a possibility of assistance from CAPC and whatever other sources, possibly a fundraiser. But yes, we may ultimately have to do something like what you're suggesting.
The tourism enhancement referendum for a slight increase in that revenue would be the CAPC. You know, that's who gets that money and distributes it. Mm-hmm. So, but if it was earmarked for these projects, yeah.
It can be done as a city tax.
Yeah.
So you think that the fountain is the priority because of the tunnel in Basin Park?
Yes. Well, for more reasons than
the band
just...
shell looks like it's going to collapse at any day.
Well, I was going to say that when you said because of the tunnel. The band shell, I wouldn't say there's nothing that looks imminent. What we do have is water issues that are starting to cause some rot and decay.
Well, there's some leaking that pretty soon it's not going to be able to be used, even though it doesn't fall down, because the equipment that's in there is going to get ruined by all the leaks.
Yes.
So, why have a band shell if we can't use it?
There is water infiltration. It doesn't take a very heavy rain for water to cause to infiltrate that building. Yes, sir.
I think you're right in that it needs to be an all-inclusive project.
Yes. Yeah.
It really does. It just, and I also believe you're right, and then it's going to take real community effort, by businesses phoning up, the lending institutions and such as that, fundraisers or whatever we would need to do to
Yes.
help generate revenue. And this city council, or who's ever on the council at the time, but the city administration certainly needs to do whatever it has to do as well. Now, we tried to do a tax for this building a number of years ago, and it
Yeah.
for the same purpose, to do the improvements here. So I mean, it's, you know, that's a real crapshoot, trying to do a revenue generation that way. So,
And we already have a tax on Leatherwood.
yeah, and we already have the tax on Leatherwood, and so, you know, we may have, you know, we have to look at things, and we're getting pretty solid on other things. If the economy stays strong,
Yes.
and that's an if, but then we would be in a position soon for a bond, you know, to where we could institute another revenue bond. I believe that's a possibility not too far down the road. And that might be an avenue to research as well, but I think we have to take all the steps like you're saying now, you know, with the money for the engineers. You got to do all this. I mean, it's all required, unfortunately. They make you jump through so many hoops to
Yes.
do anything anymore.
Yes.
But we gotta follow that mark. So I'm tickled to death that you're on top of this. It really means a lot to me, because it's I mean, it's this town. It really is, at Park especially.
I know our commission is dedicated to this. I truly believe that this contract for the engineering will be approved tomorrow evening. I mean, I can't guarantee that, of course, but I'm hopeful, and beyond that, I'm confident. And so that puts us on the track to getting the resolution designed, and then knowing how much money we're going to need, and then we can determine, do we need, I mean, the last thing I would want to do is look at needing another tax for it. But the bottom line is, I think we all have to realize that this should be our, you know, the jewel in the crown of Eureka Springs and Parks. And it's, well, it's just, if it's a jewel, it's one that needs some polishing right now, and more than that. And it's something that has to be done. And when we get the design work done, we'll know a little better whether we are going to need to resort to something like that, or can we fund it with just something like, if CAPC, for instance, was to help out with the band shell. That's significant. I mean, that band shell is, you know, probably $150,000 to $200,000 just without even knowing what the design will be. I'm guessing that's going to be about the price range.
I think it's important that we start soliciting funds now, so we can be ready when the time comes and those hard figures come in,
Yes.
that we can, you know, jump right in, and
Yes.
not have to spend another 6 months trying to locate funds.
Well, we'll look at all options, including what grants might be available, and the other issues that have been mentioned this evening.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are we looking at $1 million? Is that, you think, close?
It's difficult.
There's a lot to do.
It's difficult to say without a design, but just kind of knowing the work we have to do, and I've been, even though I was a lawyer, I also had my father and I had a contractor's license. He was an architect, so I mean, I know a little bit about construction, and I'm guessing, just knowing what has to be done, I'm saying bottom line is probably going to be around $500,000. It could go up to about $1 million. It all depends on what all we do, but we're definitely looking at over $500,000, but I would say, unless we do something extravagant, I would be surprised to see it go over $1 million, but that's really just pure guesswork at this point.
Now, is that just for the plaza, do you think?
No, the stonework, actually, I did get some kind of preliminary numbers on it, and that actually wasn't all that bad. It was going to be about $10,000 for the stonework at the fountain, underneath the fountain, and a little over 20, might have been 25 for the other stonework around the, you know, the back end, the retaining walls. Because that's assuming they stay where they are, and we're just repairing the areas that are crumbling. Yes.
That's why for this council person, the money that is earmarked for black bass would be much more better directed to Basin Park. I mean, you're looking at, 200-some thousand there that's already sitting in that account that would go a long ways to getting that started. And black bass, although the stone is coming off, it in itself, as far as structural integrity, is okay, as I understand it.
Not completely. I wouldn't go that far.
Well,
It's right now, it's kind of like Basin Park. It hadn't fallen, hadn't
Okay,
failed.
but and that may very well be true, but it can be, the level can be kept down where it can, probably maintain its structural integrity, whereas the Basin Park cannot. That's my thoughts.
More
Something to
people go to
consider.
Basin Park than black bass lake.
Oh, yeah, it's high priority, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Mine too. I don't think anybody here would disagree with that.
Well, I would like to see what the facts are, whether it's really a safety issue, and what is the most important safety issue, in my opinion.
It doesn't appear to be the type of safety issue that we're looking at, and I can't rule it out, but it doesn't look as though like an immediate collapse is something that we're looking at.
Which one?
It's entirely possible, but not probable at this point. It's a subsidence, as I described, but sure, it could at any time surprise us. And so, again, getting the engineer involved is going to be the first step, and that's something that I was going to ask them to focus their efforts first on looking at that, and specifically as a safety issue. In other words, is there something that we need to do? Can we go in there? Because we have access, actually, to these culverts. We can get down in there. So is there some sort of a, can we buttress them up somehow to, enhance their safety, even if it doesn't appear as though they could fail immediately? Is there something that we could do to buy us some time while we're getting the complete design done? So we'll definitely ask them to do that first. That's not something that's not a component of this that should be all that costly. It's something that they would have to be looking at anyway. We're just saying, look at this first and tell us, is there something we need to do right now to prevent this from getting
I
worse?
think they would probably tell you that anyway.
Yes.
As soon as they get in there.
Yes.
If
And so-
they see something that's the integrity is in danger, then I'm sure they're going to notify you.
Right.
Yeah, because that's something you don't want to roll your dice on. Maybe it might happen or maybe it not, but I'm sure the engineers will.
Right.
That's why I'm asking, you're talking about needing that engineering report. Are there funds now available for that engineering report?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We have sufficient funds for that and more, but we don't have enough to do $1 million.
No, I
That's what it
understand,
takes.
but just to determine what is unsafe, if there is such a thing, or its degree of being unsafe.
Yes,
And what needs to be done to make it at least safe until the big chunk of money comes in to do it all.
Yes, we can fund the entire engineering portion. Again, any money that we pay towards engineering is ultimately funds that would have gone to repair. So the more we spend on that, it
Yeah.
draws down our reserves.
Yeah.
But yes, we wouldn't sign a contract that we couldn't pay for.
Okay.
Do
Ms.
you have
Swain?
an engineering report for black bass?
No, black bass is a little different situation, and I'm not sure how that actually happened historically, but Parks and Recreation is responsible for the dam out at Leatherwood, but Public Works is apparently responsible for the dam at Black Bass. I think it has something to do with it at one time being our water source, but I don't know the details of how that all happened.
Right,
Okay,
yeah. There was a water reservoir.
okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Scott, thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank
Yes,
you
and I'll-
so
giving us
much.
this
Thank you, sir.
information.
And I'll send an email out. I mean, obviously, it's public record and whatnot. You hear it one way or another, but I'll send an email out Wednesday morning to let you know how that vote went. But
Okay.
I expect and hope that we will have an engineering contract by
and-
Wednesday.
And thank your team members, too.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that all?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
All right, our next item on the agenda is an update on the speed tables that will be or are installed. Get a motion to discuss.
So moved.
Second?
I think in your packet, you should have a letter there, and I think Mr. Ott's going to
Yes.
read something.
Yeah, Leon called me and said he wanted to be here tonight, was going to be, for public comments. He said he wasn't, so he wrote a letter, and I told him that I'd be glad to read it into the public record. It goes as follows. For the protection of those who need it the most, last year at this time, the residents of East Mountain Drive were promised more effective speed bumps, along with the change of a speed limit from 25 miles per hour to 15 miles per hour to make East Mountain Drive a safe street for walking with pets, and most important, raised children. He put an after note in this: the speed limit has changed. The more things change, the more they remain the same. To date, nothing has changed. The street has been repaved and the original speed bumps were replaced. The ineffective ones, not the new ones promised. The new ones that start on the hill leading to the Grand Central Hotel, traversing over the new bumps, provides more resistance to speeding and more safety. Proposed solutions: 1, best solution, 3 new speed tables between 62 and Cross Street placement to be determined by Mr. Allen and Chief Young as before in years 2016 to 2017. We need the additional set of tables because 3/10 of a mile exists between the current ones. Cars can approach 40 to 50 miles per hour and often do. And he refers you to the map that everybody has now. Number 3, less effective would be the addition of a 3rd speed bump similar to currently in place. Number 4, in conclusion, to make East Mountain Drive safer, we need more police presence and a return of the radar sign on a permanent basis. Please help, and it's signed Leon Burt, 15 East Mountain Drive.
In your packet, I think all the speed ramps have been installed. Mr. Meyer probably can let us know for sure. I haven't been down there today.
I thought we had 7 purchased.
No, we had 5 that we had,
4 new ones today.
yeah. Yeah, so we had 4 new ones installed. We had one on Flint Street, and then the other 4, as noted on the
I
little
understand, but I
map.
thought that we ordered 7 of those
It's just 5,
cushions, speed cushions.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I know there are a lot more signs than there are speed bumps. I don't
Way
know.
more.
I don't know. Yeah, sorry to say, I don't know how effective the signs are, but at least, because when I drove that end of last week, and it looked like, I was expecting every time I saw a sign to see a speed bump, but of course you don't. But at least they've got plenty of signs up along
They
that
put
one.
the signs up and they marked the spot for the speed tables.
Yeah.
And for some reason or another, it took a while for them to put them in. I don't know why it did, but there was.
Well, it took a while to get them. It took a while to get, they were ordered, and then we just didn't get them until just
They
recently.
were in a crate at Public Works for a few months.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway,
But anyway, that's the status. They are installed right now.
and they're working.
We do have police up there on a regular basis. Now, they're not always there because they get called off, but we have found, police are, like I said, I've been asking them to make sure that they're up there as much as they can be. So I do know that that's one of the places they're at, so.
And one of the things I noticed when I drove that, it seems like the speed bumps that we're more used to make more of a jolt on you when you drive over them than the speed tables do. I know there's the comment that the speed bumps make more noise than the speed tables do when a car goes over it, but I think it's got to be, do you want them to slow down or do you want it to be quiet? So, I guess you just kind of need to decide, but I don't know how many of the other folks have driven over that, but the table is much more forgiving, to me anyway, than the speed bump is.
They're designed for a certain speed,
Yeah.
is what it is.
Speed-
I think it's 10 miles an hour.
I prefer the ramps, but as noted, and I think earlier, they're a lot more expensive to put down, a lot more time. Takes
Yeah.
2 people a half a day to put one down. There's 100, Ann said 57 boats that go into one of those.
Is that like the speed table there by the school?
Yes.
You hit one of those a little too fast, you know it.
No, the ones that I drove over aren't as aggressive, if you want to call it that, as the ones by the school. I mean, they're assertive, but they aren't like the ones at the school. The ones at the school jump up and grab you. The ones on East Mountain are there, and you've gone over it, but it's not as hello as the ones there by the school.
Well, you
And
may be going the speed limit.
Yeah, yes, sir.
That may make it.
That was a trap.
Even with that, maybe it's the cheapness of my automobile, I don't know, but the other thing we have to, no, I was, trust me, Coach, I was watching the old speedometer because I didn't want to do anything that was not correct. But the other thing that we have to consider, and hopefully there might be a learning curve that would take us beyond this, but we talked about when it snows and trying to get the snow off the street, the snow plow, the blade can be very hazardous to tables and speed bumps. I don't know if there's a way to mark those where they are and have the person raise that up as they go over it and then put it back down. I don't know, but I do know that anytime you put that blade on the street, you're running the risk of destroying what's underneath there as far as the tables and the bumps go. But
We need salt.
maybe we won't have as much snow as we've had in the past, but that's a consideration. So, Mayor, what is the status then at this point in time as far as this part of our town and this person's request? We're moving towards getting all of them down, or the last 2 that you said were put down?
They're all down.
They're all
The
down?
5 that we had placed. Yep.
Okay. And so, it's like if we've given them what they felt was promised, then it's issue solved.
Well, it's still a matter of patrolling. I think people are still going to be speeding. The problem when you put down, you repave a street, you create a speedway.
Yeah.
When you don't repave and you have all the bumps and everything, you have an automatic speed control,
Yeah.
you might say.
Is-
But it's not conducive to our cars. And so when we repave with new asphalt, you do create people tend to go faster.
And is the radar sign that they mentioned in
That was broken, and I'm not sure what the status of that was. And for a while, we had it out on Pivot Rock Road.
Okay. Is there a
We
way to
try to
get it
move it
back
around.
down on?
Depends
East
on what's
Mountain?
wrong with it,
Okay.
yeah. But, we were trying for a long time to circulate it around various places, not leave it in one spot. But I think, and I just have to check with the chief to see what the status is.
Okay. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah. Anybody else?
All I got to say is I think it's going to help a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I think we got enough of them for now. You're never going to stop speeders. Somebody is going to floor it from one to the next.
Well, I hopefully if they get it, if we start, and I told the police, we start issuing tickets, that tends to slow people down. So,
I'm going to say there's been quite a bit of response. A lot of people have slowed down. A lot of people who used to speed are slowing down. But of course, every so often, there's somebody that comes along, zipping right along.
okay. All right, anybody else? All right, that takes us back up to update on the Bkd audit. Get a motion to discuss?
Motion to discuss the Bkd audit.
I'll second.
All right, Ms. Lane made motion and Mr. Myers seconded. Michael, you want to come up? And I think we've got some, did we? Yes, we did. You guys have in your packet the Bkd audit for December 31st, 2017, 2016.
No,
You don't?
Yes,
we do?
You should
it
have.
says Bkd at the
That's what you got in what you're looking at.
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Then I do have it.
Says right on the front.
Oh, my golly.
By golly.
Those just aren't quite big enough letters for me.
Okay, first of all, what I wanted to do is kind of give, yes.
Speak up a little bit.
Okay, first of all, kind of what I wanted to do is give a little bit of a backstory and then give you a little bit of an update where we're currently at. In the Finance Department, we have 3 audits in a year. We have the Legislative Audit, we have the Water and Sewer Audit, and then we also have a single audit. What you received in the legislative audit was our 2020 legislative audit, and in there it indicated that the city's water and sewer department had not been audited since 2017 up through 2020. The legislative audit does not look at the water and sewer at all. It's a completely separate audit. Our 2020 legislative audit was completed, and they have started our 2021 legislative audit. She came out a couple of weeks ago, and we've started downloading files and sending her information. So they were in the process of working on that. To complete the 2 additional audits, we hire an outside independent audit firm to complete those. They do the water and sewer audit and the single audit. These are 2 very different audits. Even though we're talking about them at the same time, they're very different audits. As you can tell by the kind of the simplicity of the city's water and sewer audit department, that's what it is an audit of that department. The second audit is the single audit. The single audit is required by the federal government when the city spends over $750,000 in federal funds. The purpose of that audit is to review these funds and to make sure that what we use the funds for is what we got the funds for. So there are 2 different audits that are looking at 2 different data sets, and they're going to come out with 2 different outcomes. So where are we at on the audits? As you can see by what we had in the packet, the 2017 water and sewer audit has been completed. It was issued by Bkd on 10/14 of 2020. A copy of that has been placed in your packet. The overall opinion of this audit is as follows. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material aspects. The financial position of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas Water and Wastewater Department as of December 31st, 2017 and 2016, and the changes in the financial position and its cash flow for the years then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So basically what they're saying is that we are completing everything in our water and sewer department according to the general accounting practices that we are supposed to be. As far as the 2018 water and sewer audit, we reached out to Bkd to find out exactly what they needed to complete that audit. They had 2 open items that were left for us to respond to so they could complete the 2018 water and sewer audit. I've pulled all that information and have sent that to them. Now, the single audit, regarding the 2017 single audit, what we do is we have to fill out a paper that we send to them, that we provide them this information, and it's called the Schedule of Expenditures of Federal Awards. When we send this schedule to them, they will review it, and then they will determine whether or not we have classified to where we need to have a single audit. Some years we may, some years we may not. When the threshold was down around $500,000, there were years that we didn't have to. They've recently raised them to $750,000, and so in the last couple of years we've had to. In 2017, it was determined that we did qualify to have a 2017 single audit was warranted. They completed the review, and they provided with me approximately 6 open items that they were requiring additional information on. I have provided them with all of that information that they have requested. In the 2018 single audit, Bkd is still kind of on the fence of whether or not we are going to need one for 2018. They've asked for additional information on some of our expenditures that we made for 2018 to determine whether or not we're going to be required to do a single audit for 2018. If they come back and determine that they do have the documentation to review. At that point, they'll get back to us and let us know if they need anything additional. So 2017 water and sewer is done. 2017 water is done. 2018 water, we have provided them with all documentation that they've requested. 2017, for the single audit, we have provided them with everything they've requested, and they're still reviewing the 2018.
Question, in the state audit, they were asking for 2020 and 2019 as well.
We have to complete them in a succession. So when we complete 17, 18, then we'll go on to 19 and 20.
Okay.
Normally, these things, in the water sewer audits, they run about a year to 2 years behind your legislative audit, since they are done by kind of an independent firm and not your legislatures. So if you go back and look at like our 2019 legislative audit, there's no mention of it in there that these were not done, because they allow for you to have a little bit of a leeway in there to get these done.
Okay.
So this is the first time that they've ever been mentioned in our legislative audit.
So we're going to be more on top of it next time?
Well,
Or
is
this a normal thing you're saying?
No, I mean, we're trying to get them updated. A little bit had to do with the COVID, because you have a transfer of documentation back and forth. They come over here sometimes. They're out of Rogers. They come over here sometimes. Sometimes we take documents over there to them. And you know, they're also auditing for other people. And so sometimes it's just a matter of them getting to it and reviewing it. But yes, we are going to get this, you know, caught up to date and you know, get it done a little bit faster. You know, COVID happened, that kind of shut some of those offices down a little bit, because they're more independent. They're not like government offices.
Right. Well, 17, 18, and 19 surely should have been worked on at least.
Well, and they were. They were. Like I said, 17 was issued in 2020, so it had already been worked on. Okay. And they have the documentation for 17 and 18. They have reviewed it. They're just coming back now with the questions of what they want. You know, and like I said, like for the 2018, she only had 2 questions. They were pretty easy. I answered them, pulled the documentation, and sent it to her. So hopefully, I talked to her this morning. And she stated that hopefully within this week, she'll be able to have finished reviewing everything that we've sent her and kind of be able to give me a time frame or when they're going to be issued.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, Nick?
That kind of answered my question.
Okay.
I was wondering when we were going to know, would we kind of be back
Yeah.
up to where we should be?
She kind of got a little bit behind because a lot of places, a lot of businesses close their fiscal year in June. And so when I talked to her a few weeks ago, she had told me, she was like, you know, I can't put you front burner right now because I've got to get these done because they're closing their year ends. So now that that's done, she's going to be able to pay a little bit more attention to us and be able to get these done. And I'm pressing her as hard as I can. I'm following up with emails and phone calls telling her how important it is that we get this done. So
Have you let her know that we could go elsewhere if we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I looked up some
I'm not real sure
places,
BKD really cares.
Yeah, that is.
right?
They're the, probably, if not the largest, one of the largest CPA firms
They
in the
just
United
do
States.
it at their pace.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I looked up Baker Tilly. They do the same thing. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, and
I would-
it's kind, it's kind of like we're talking about here size-wise, we're still a pretty good-sized entity. But, when you tell them, I've got to have this done, and they're kind of like, well, we're going to put you on the back burner here for a couple of weeks, you don't have much leverage. But, we are trying to, I peppered her with emails for the last couple of weeks on, instead of gathering things together and putting 5 or 6 of her questions in one email, I peppered her with each question. I put the documents with it and sent her an email regarding that one thing and said, look at this, click this off, and let's go to the next one. And so we've been working really hard to try to get every bit of information to them that they're requesting. And some of it to me was a little bit different because some of it was even situational. It wasn't documentation. They just said, hey, we noticed that this happened in 17 and this happened in 18. Can you tell us why? And so that had a lot to do with the single audit on some of the monies that we spent. So we kind of had to go back and say, hey, what was happening in 2017 that would have caused this difference, to 2018? And so we had to kind of send her some situational stuff and let her know what was going on in Eureka at that time and what was happening. So some of it's been journal entries, pulling basic accounting stuff, and then some of it's been more situational.
Well, thank you for being the squeaky wheel.
I'm trying. I'm trying really hard.
Anybody else have any questions?
No, good job, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Michael.
It'll take me a while to step back.
All right, that brings us up to discussion of downtown public bathrooms. Motion to discuss.
I make a motion, I make a motion, we discuss that.
Again, in your packet, you have a list of work that needs to be done in the bathrooms. One of the things I've been having a problem with is finding people who are going to be able to do the work. I am meeting with a person on Thursday to go over these 3 bathrooms as far as painting goes. I finally found a painter I can get to show up, and hopefully that will take care of some of this. Some of the other items, the repairing the soap dispensers and sink handles, some of this, some of it's mechanical, some of it's plumbing, and then also replacing the toilet stalls, some of the toilet stalls in through there. Some of this will probably, when we do it and we get the cost in, we'll probably end up, since that's not in our budget at this time, when we do the mid-year budget, we'll be looking at asking the council to revise the mid-year budget to include these things. So, Mr. McClung?
Would that just come out of your budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
Well, that's where
if
the,
you could get
auditorium-
if you could get somebody to do the work tomorrow, you'd pay it out of your budget just to get it done.
Absolutely,
Yeah, that's all I'm concerned.
Yep.
Yeah, good.
So if you know somebody who can set tile, do some carpentry work for a small,
I don't think they'd like me giving their name out. That's the problem.
need a little bit of woodworking, and that's a problem. They're small projects, and trying to get somebody to come in and do a small project.
Question, is any of this stuff needed because it doesn't have regular, updates or checking? I mean, is any of it due to?
A lot of it's due to vandalism.
Oh, okay, that's where the
Are they locked at night, Butch?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
And we're getting ready to put some cameras.
Yeah, I saw that on there.
Okay.
The bathrooms down at North Main, the music part, even with the doors locked, it's pretty bad. And so we're going to be setting up some cameras out there. And the same thing, we have just a bad vandalism problem. in bathrooms. And I read in the paper today that we're not the only ones. This is,
Do we still have,
occurs all over.
do we still have the people that are cleaning them?
Oh, absolutely, every day.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, some of the things she's got to clean up, it's just,
okay, yeah,
I wouldn't want to be doing
It's
it.
hard to make it look clean.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
anyway, that's kind of the status of that,
okay,
on there.
thank you.
Yeah. I also understand we have, as I've talked to Shantae, because we became friends when we worked at the restaurant.
I'm sorry, what?
I've talked to Shantae, and
Yeah,
because I had her in a cell, because I used to call her when there was a problem with the bathroom down the corner, because our people at the restaurant used that bathroom, so if there was a urgent matter, so
Right.
today there was, so, but yeah, and she said the homeless, there's a lot more homeless issue. Like today, there was a pair of jeans and a shirt that she had to pick up that someone was changing. That was just today.
Yeah.
But that one in this building particularly is, I've seen better public restrooms in Thailand than I've seen in that bathroom. I sanitized my hand just walking out of there and never touched anything, but nothing's working in it at all. Like, there's nothing hanging on the walls that works that's not ripped off. But yeah, that vandalism can be stopped, and we can keep a better eye on that. But we have to eventually fix it to where it's nice in the first place, maybe all stainless steel. It looks like the toilets are the only thing I see that are nice, and they can look white. But the rest of everything else needs to be pretty much gutted. The walls are just, I mean, it looks like, I feel like I walked into a KFC from when I was a kid that hadn't been updated in 20 years back then. You know, the flooring and the kind of tiles. So these need to be nice. Like, people coming downtown, when they go to these bathrooms, they go, well, Eureka's, it's a reflection on us.
we've
That's why
got to
it's so
tear
vital.
we've got to tear the floors up in the bathrooms down here on this, in the men's.
And that's
we've torn-
technically in this auditorium building, right?
Well, it's in the building, yes.
Could it possibly be added to the Nabolt's work to do in the basement and get a quote on at least that bathroom's getting ripped out and fixed for them while they're still here working? And yet we still could use the APC funding
I'll
for that, I
ask
imagine.
Steve about that. They are so close to finishing up, I don't know. And they do, but,
If there's a way, that would be
that's just a
immediate.
small, again, looking like 100 square feet of flooring that needs to be torn up and put back down.
I think the walls need to be tore out. I think the whole thing needs to basically be gutted and start over,
That's
except
why
for
a
saving
lot
the
of cities
toilets.
don't have public
They
bathrooms.
don't,
I was going to ask the question, do you know from other municipalities that have had these problems, and I'm sure all of them do, they have public restrooms, but those that have put in cameras, does that seem to not cure, but does it markedly help?
Well, I don't know. The thing is that, you're not going to have the toilets, the cameras in the bathrooms, obviously,
No, I
outside. And the thing, and I've seen some cameras around, but you can always, once you get them, then there's a citation. We can always get the police to, again,
Okay, but they have proved successful in other communities.
I'm not sure, Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought maybe,
Yeah.
because
No.
you said other cities had these problems, I thought maybe you had some feedback.
No,
on
we
that.
just, that's the only thing we can come up with is,
Okay.
how do you stop it? Well, you find who's doing it and
Okay.
stop the people who are doing it,
There you go.
Yeah, and I think if we added higher end, more commercial things for, like, I guess the soap dispensers break pretty much immediately after we purchase them.
We've had high-end stuff, and they get torn down and broken real bad, especially on North Main Street. So, and the same thing with, when you talk about vandalism, debating on toilet stalls being stainless steels, somebody takes a knife and scratches initials and things on stainless steel, it's hard to repair. So I'm not sure. That's, again,
And who does the
stainless steel
maintenance?
looks good.
Who does the maintenance to the bathrooms, or lack thereof of maintenance to the bathrooms that we have now? Who's responsible? for
Shantae
keeping
does,
them?
Shantae
But
does.
she
all
shouldn't
that.
be doing maintenance work, she's just cleaning the
Oh,
bathroom.
yeah.
She just cleaned.
Well,
So
it
does
depends on
this-
what it is. If it's,
I mean, can the
if it's
maintenance
an
department
electrical,
take
then
care
we
of
have an
this
electrical person
internally?
come in, or plumber, we have a plumber come in.
Because she just talked about doing a lot of work herself and stuff. And I said, you should never be doing that kind of work. So we need to make sure we keep on that. And does she have a boss still? Like, she must report directly to you, or?
Yeah.
Now? Because there was another person before CAPC.
No.
Before COVID, I think, that quit, she had said.
I don't think so.
So she doesn't have another boss? Okay.
Oh, Don Matt, well, that's when Don was here. So Don was doing the bathrooms in the courthouse at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we add it to the agenda for the ones for the maintenance department to keep up with installing when things are broken and things there? So she could have a direct contact to getting that stuff resolved?
I can, well, I don't think it needs to be on the agenda. I think that's more of a personnel matter that I can talk to and see what we
Make
can
it to where
get
she can
done.
just reach out to them directly and get whatever she needs done fixed.
I'm trying to work with Shantae and give her anything that she needs.
She said she's talked to Kim Stryker and some of the ladies in the office, and she just never gets any response back, and they never replace anything. So I'm just letting you know that that's an issue,
Sure.
according to the
That's the
one
reason I
taking
came
care
up,
of that.
that's where we came up with this list of items that need to be done.
Maybe sorry.
Ms. McClung?
I think you need to go, as sparse and as durable as you can, like, like parks do and roadside rest stops and those. But the big thing is, if you don't have something, if the place is not staffed or inspected on a regular basis, you're never going to get away from it. They're just going to, it's an unfortunate fact that vandalism it's just going to occur.
And even if we
sad.
clean it on a daily basis,
Yeah, I mean.
and it's still, that's where, the only thing I can think of on the vandalism, they literally will rip the
Sure.
laboratories off.
I know.
Yeah,
I've been there. I've seen it.
that's frustrating.
Maybe it could be on a police route, and they check it, and then they would know where to look at on the cameras to find out
Well-
who did it. But I think the more you check it and the more you see
What we
what's
can
going on
do, and that's,
hourly.
that's the reason, we do check it on a daily basis, so.
But once a
The police
day
have a
is
lot of
not-
other things rather than going around checking
They
the
got a
bathrooms.
camera that hooks up to the police station, and that can be on a monitor there, and whoever the dispatcher is sees somebody destroying things, they can call the,
Well, they're not-
Well, you can't
they're
see
not
it on the
gonna see that.
inside.
You can't see inside.
Yeah,
That's why you need somebody to
You
check.
can't have the camera on the inside.
no.
You need
Well-
somebody to check.
You just see who
Yeah.
comes and goes.
It has to be.
Well, and we can do, it's just on a daily basis. When Shantae sees something, then she informs us, and we've got a camera to see what's happened during that 24-hour period.
Right.
So, but it's still, I'm not sure it's going to help, but it's the only thing I can come up with.
worth a try.
Has everyone at this table been down to the auditorium, the one just in this building?
I have.
It's gross, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's still on us. That we can fix it. I don't think it's been totally gutted or fixed. There's no working part in there besides the toilet that doesn't look more than 20
The
years
last time
old.
we did something, I think, was probably about 3 years ago. We put new tile down in the women's.
That's right.
And then the guy quit, and we couldn't find somebody to come back and do the
We
rest.
just found tile that replaced the old
We had
tile
to
that matched
replace
it.
the flooring and put new tile down.
Can we not put some more modern fixed, like pieces in there? The tile and stuff's pretty bad. And even with the
I'm
toilets we
talking
put on
about
the
it-
wall, there's a
I'm talking
gap where
about
they
the
never
wi-
even painted behind. They just put a toilet smaller than the one before it.
Yeah.
It just needs to be done immediately.
And-
This is very urgent.
When we talk about tiling, is it not much easier just to put down like concrete with a center drain and that we don't have to worry about tiling and stuff?
Tile's just as easy to clean, and it just was a good substance. If you put down concrete, you got to put down a different board, and then you got about 1.5 inches of concrete, and then you got to find somebody to get the concrete in there. So, no, tile's a lot easier to,
Okay.
yeah. Ms. Green, did you have something?
Oh, I was just going to say, I came from a tourist town that was about 5 times the size of this. We didn't have public toilets. I think we're pretty lucky. I think we need to get them fixed and do the best, but I agree with Mr. McClung. The most simplest we can get them is probably going to be the easiest for us to maintain them.
I have one more. I do think it's absolutely imperative because these people are coming into our restaurants and our shops and then going down our alleyways and peeing in the alleyways. I can't hardly keep our alleyway clean because people literally pee on the door.
Do they use your restrooms?
We're not open. That's when they're
Okay.
coming down.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
even with our restrooms, though, they're not using the restrooms. They're still going back behind the building.
Right. Well, I think
Yeah,
if
there's
anything we can do
Nothing
to,
to stop that.
Yeah.
No, you'll never stop that.
All right.
I have more to say, because I went down there today and just looked. Like the bottom of the door frames are all rusted. That doesn't happen overnight. That's not vandalism. And every heater in those bathrooms doesn't usually have a front plate, and it doesn't look like functioning, or it just is pure rust. Like, there's not even been an attempt to
Talking
change the
about the
heaters in
Pendergrass
those
corner?
bathrooms in 20 years, I could imagine.
Pendergrass Corner?
All of the bathrooms,
No,
all the
which
soap
ones had
dispensers are all ripped
the
off too,
rust?
except for the one up there on the corner. I'm just looking at these two downtown because that's the ones that get the most exposure to making us look bad because we have bad bathrooms and we keep saying we just want to paint them when there's nothing to paint.
There's
It's
some
crap.
really nice ones at the trolley depot down here.
Yeah, but these down here could be the same. We just build new ones, those are
They have
nice, and then
people-
let these ones sit here and rot.
People there all the time, too.
Yeah.
I brought this up to
I
Butch
say
like
we
when I
shut
first
these
started here, and we
up.
still haven't got anything done, not a single piece of square
Well-
of paint has happened, so we need to make it happen. That's why we brought it up.
We could use porta
We need
potties.
better leadership to make sure it happens.
Anybody else? All right. Get a motion to discuss parking meters.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right. Ms. Myers?
Yes, I met with the police chief, and we discussed the parking meter problem. We've got a whole lot of broken parking meters that we can't get parts for anymore, and, but there's enough good parking meters left, and some for spares, that we can take all the parking meters out of these parking lots and then use them on Spring Street and Main Street and install this system in the parking lots. It doesn't take cash, it takes credit cards. I don't think we want cash involved. The chief doesn't want cash involved. But I used one like this in St. Louis, and it was very easy. The app on your phone tells you when you're
Is-
about to run out of time. You don't have to run out there. You can just,
Is there just one per parking lot?
Huh?
Is there just one per parking lot?
Yeah.
And you put in the number where you're at
You
or
put
something?
in the-
Okay.
yeah, put in your license. And the officers can just drive by, and they have a separate app on the phone, on their phone or scanner, and they can tell if your car hasn't paid and give you a ticket.
Butch,
It'll
do we
be
have the
cheap.
bike cops downtown?
Mr. McClung?
I don't think it's fair. There's a lot of people that don't have debit cards, or, people that use cards for things like that. I think you've got to have,
Well, there's
Cash.
meters on the street
I think you got to have the cash
that'll
option.
take quarters.
Well, sure, but they may not be open. That may not be available to use. And the other, I think you've got to have the cash option. I understand that the police chief wanted to take that out. It'd be one less thing his officers would have to do. But I don't see how you can.
Oh,
do
I
it
think
without
it's a
the cash.
matter of keeping everybody honest.
I don't think you have to. I think you got to have the cash option available. And are we currently, you say there are enough meters, we're all covered now. We don't have anything where there's a broken meter, we're all in good shape right now?
No.
No.
Oh, no.
We
We
have
have
one.
a bunch of broken meters.
Well, I mean, how many spots are not working? How many spots do we have that are,
I'm not sure exactly how many. I know we have quite a few, not so many in the parking lots as much on Spring Street.
5?
I don't know, I'll find out.
20.
I don't know.
But there's that whole row down by Sweet Spring, none of those work.
Yeah, that's 5.
Yeah,
There's 20 or more.
yeah. There's plenty.
And to get the new meters, I want to say they're $1,500 a meter or more to replace them.
How much revenue are we losing?
We're losing quite a bit.
It's down.
Well, it depends on whether or not they're using the pay app. If they use the pay app, it doesn't matter whether the meters work or not.
Right.
I was going to ask, how successful has that program been?
We had, last month, we had 28 people, 2,800 users.
Wow.
So when we're talking
that-
about meters, are we talking about the coin meters that you're talking about replacing?
Yes.
Or the ones that are in this
broken,
parking lot
Yeah, in the
here?
parking lots.
Well, but this parking lot here has the one that you can use a card on. We're talking about
You have
replacing
an app,
everything?
you have a pay app, but you can do that with all the meters. You can use
Even the
it.
ones with the coin things?
Yes.
The little bitty ones?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
all you got to do is
I didn't
download
know
the
that.
app,
Okay,
and you can use your phone to use, and it doesn't cost us anything. People who use those meters have to pay, I want to say 25 cents per use. on
and
the
those
meter.
are the ones we're talking about replacing? Or
No.
which ones are we talking about replacing?
If we I think what Mr. Meyer's talking about is using this machine in lieu of parking meters.
In the lots.
Yeah.
The little bitty ones that have the quarter machines.
Yes.
And then
Okay.
taking
Right.
the good ones that are in these parking lots, the ones that work, and replacing the broken ones on Spring Street and
Okay.
Main Street.
Now,
I got
the
it.
Harry, it can,
difference between this and what we've got is this uses a credit card. The pay app, PayPal that or not PayPal, but the pay app that we have, while it uses a credit card, you have to have a smartphone to be able to utilize.
right.
And a lot of people don't have smartphones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's-
Is-
A lot of the older people.
Is there, Harry, these parking things, is there any of them that come like with the cash option or something?
Well, this one does right here,
Oh, okay.
from what I'm seeing.
You can,
says it
you
takes
can get
coins.
one with
Oh,
cash
yep, I see it.
option.
Yeah.
I think that would be more appropriate.
And this is, I think, $6,000. And we used to have, well, no, what we had before was a change machine, and that was a pain.
There was one like that across from what is now New Delhi.
Did we used to have one of these?
It didn't look like that, but yes, you would pay cash and a receipt would come out that you would put on your dashboard.
I don't remember that one.
It was
I
blue, yeah.
kind of remember it.
And we got rid of it because it was broke down?
Probably, or became obsolete, but that was in the 90s.
The problem is when they do break down, then you've got an expense to fix it.
Did I hear you right? It's only $6,000 for this machine, so per parking lot it'd be $6,000, is that right?
That's correct. That's what, well, 9,000 when you take everything into consideration from what I'm seeing. Yeah.
What's the, on the just regular parking meters, what's the maintenance and how long do they last before they break?
I can't answer that one. I don't know.
They've been around a long time, the company's out
Oh,
of business.
we can't get the
They're,
parts.
yeah, they used to be out of Russellville,
Okay.
BOM.
If the company was still around, we'd be buying parts and fixing
Yeah,
them.
we
Yeah.
can buy the parts for it,
Okay.
and that's the problem.
Same with the app situation, is that history too? Is it?
No, doesn't matter. We're still using the app.
The app,
And that doesn't, like I said, that was no expense to the city on there. Mr. Roberts?
Just to put it in perspective, because looking at, since we had the budget to review today, I'd seen on the meters, it's nearly $19,000, $20,000 less than it was last year that we're losing and not making. So we should easily be able to pay for this. Just from 1 month difference right here, I think it would be a no-brainer. It would pay for itself within a few weeks, probably.
it's been going down over the years with more and more meters dying. I think we had a while back of over $100,000 in
Right.
parking meter income over the year.
Right, we made, okay, so how is it going to be to move these parking meters, Harry? Are we,
That's not hard.
that's not hard, and we can
Yeah,
find somebody to do
We
it?
can just pull the heads off.
Okay, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, and pull the,
And Public Works can do that?
yeah.
Okay,
Like Cool Hand Luke, you know, you
Yeah.
get the
okay.
Well, my only concern on this is the maintenance, not now, but in 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
Well,
because you got a year warranty, and then after
and the
that.
vandalism on them.
If you could,
don't know.
I'm sorry, I should raise my
Yeah,
hand. If you can establish truly what the loss of revenue is based on the parking meters, the ones that are damaged, if you can figure what that loss is, and that's how you justify it, then, and I mean, it'd be crazy not to. If we're losing any kind of revenue,
I
and we
agree.
can't repair them, then we ain't got any choice.
Let me,
But I think you need to know where you really stand with them and what you have with
Right.
parking meters.
this, Harry and I didn't have a chance to talk about this really, so I didn't know how much this was going to run. Let me talk with the chief and also get with Lonnie and see if we can run up some figures and bring it back to you
Yeah,
at the next
that'd be
meeting.
swell.
And it was brought out that, Terry, you're talking about, personally, I don't think that we would disenfranchise too many people who don't have a credit or a debit card. But this machine specs, it talks about it will take coins.
Yeah.
So even those few people that don't have those cards could go in and get a handful of coins.
Well, in Fayetteville, they'll take dollar bills,
Yeah,
$5
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Because if they take coins, we got a coin machine right over here, so it's just convenient for
Well,
them.
all I'm
to do it.
saying is,
We don't have
We
the
don't.
coin machine.
Oh, is it gone?
You know,
Oh, I used to.
We couldn't afford the maintenance on it.
Oh, yeah?
Kept breaking. Yeah.
this is just a supposition of mine, but I don't think there are that many people out there that don't have some kind of plastic they could use.
Oh, yes, there is.
yeah. There's a-
Well,
All right, just one at a time, please. Mr. Myers?
Right, the plastic, the card on one of these, you don't even need the phone app. You can just
Which is-
punch it in. But then you'll have to come back,
Right,
and you'll have to put your card back in there, or your money in there.
Yeah.
And because, you won't have the app to tell when you're in the restaurant whether your time's run out. The app is a lot better, and the revenue will be better, because people will let them expire.
Well, that's true with the app that we have now. It will notify you 5 minutes before your time's expired.
This will too.
Yeah.
I think more people have an issue with a smartphone than they do a debit card, in my opinion.
right. But there's people that are just going to want to do cash, they don't want to do plastic. So,
And when you're on vacation, you don't want an app for everything either,
Well-
Like, I despise downloading an app just to go and park in one spot for that day, and I might live in California, and I might not be able to frequent Eureka Springs, though I love it, But it's just not something you want to take, so you'll just go, it's just another, you don't want anything that makes people feel frustrated by the city or any of their time spent in the town. You want to make it as seamless, happy, good, easy as possible for them. But if they don't pay their meter, and we can see that on the app, then through the police department, then we get them a ticket, we have revenue coming in, so. Seems like
Let
a
me check
no-brainer
and
to me.
see how many meters aren't working and what, if we can come up with about what we're losing from that. And I'll come back
Last year,
next time.
I think just from the parking lots, not from the meters on the street, I think we got $70,000 in.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going to hit that this year.
right.
All right, anybody else? All right, and that concludes our business for tonight. Agenda setting? Ms. Green?
I'd like to put a discussion on camping on private property in the city.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. City council comments in. Mr. McClung?
I have none.
Mr. Myers?
Hot and dry.
Ms. Lane?
I would like to just reiterate that to join our Parks Department or CAPC, because, without a quorum, we can't really operate. So that's it.
Thank you.
Happy summer.
Ms. Green?
Well, to echo Ms. Lane, I do know someone that is going to apply for parks, and I think he's got a lot of website experience, so I think he probably will be good.
All right, Mr. Roberts?
I don't really have much to say, yeah. I find hope in that. I think that we're going to find some more candidates coming out of the woodwork and stuff. So I feel a lot more, we're better off than we were in January as for people's mentality of jumping on board and being excited about being a part of this. So I'm hopeful, and I hope that anyone out there that is interested or isn't sure, just come talk to somebody in the city and see what it's all about, see if it's a fit, see if you even have time, and if you do, then, we'll let you know, and we can tell you the perks to it and the negatives, and you can make a decision, but don't be afraid to come and be a part of the great city of Eureka. So,
Mr. Ott?
I just hope that our community, and they may feel this way, and they may just not be vocal about it, but realize how important Basin Spring Park, Lake Leatherwood Dam, Black Bass Dam, those kind of things are to our community. We take them advantage of it. We love going down to Basin Spring Park, but I just think that we all just need to realize that, wait a second, these are the key elements for our community, not only for our tourists, but also for our residents. And I just hope we all just realize that, we may have to just, cinch up our belt or do something to make sure that we don't ignore not what we want to be done, but what needs to be done. And I just hope that there's that public sentiment towards that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ott. All right, we've got quite a bit of music coming up in the Basin Park over the next 2 weeks. We've got the Wild Turkeys are playing July 15th from 5 to 7. Charles Mellinger is playing on July the 22nd. And the Front Porch is playing on July 24th from noon to 2 p.m. And then something we always look forward to is the Cates Brothers are playing July 30th from 5 to 7. So that'll be a lot of fun, and hopefully it won't be so hot outside. So, all right, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Whoa.
Second? All in favor?
All right.
All right, thank you, guys.